When I first started researching keeping chickens, I learned about chicken math. I ordered 4 chickens. I received 6 chickens. And now there are 7 chickens. Welcome back, casual gardeners. Today we're going to talk about my most recent experience with chicken math. And that is how I acquired my little rescue chicken. We're also going to talk about how I integrated Cleo into my flock and how you're actually supposed to integrate a chicken into your flock, because it turns out I did it wrong. I'm going to start with the story of where Cleo came from and why she came here and how it was that she came to live with my chickens. She was originally part of a flock of 6, just like my flock of 6, but younger and fluffier and definitely not cuter. I like Easter eggers as a breed. I think they're adorable. So the people who had Cleo and her sisters, her adopted sisters, I think every chicken in their flock was a different breed. They were not ready for chickens. And I mean, maybe they had the skill set, but they didn't have the logistical preparedness to keep chickens. They didn't have a coop ready for their chickens. They had a coop and it fell apart. They didn't keep it painted and the wood all dry rotted, so they needed to repair their coop. So as their chicks outgrew the little chick enclosure, their little brooder enclosure that they had ready for them, the chicks didn't have anywhere to go. And so these well-meaning people built an enclosure for their chicks out of chicken wire. The thing about chicken wire is that, oh hi, this is Willa. The thing about chicken wire is that you can't really protect your chickens with chicken wire. Chicken wire isn't made to keep predators away from your chickens. It's just made to restrict your chickens from going somewhere. So their chickens couldn't get out of the enclosure, but I mean, honestly, just about anything that wanted to get into the enclosure totally could. And so it did. You are so loud, Willa. You're so loud. The chicks started disappearing in the night, one by one, until eventually there were only 2 of them left. Cleo and her sister Chungus. Oh, hello, little Eleanor. And that was at the point where I started to decide, I've got to take these chickens. They're not ready for these chickens. And I started to agitate, hey, can I take these chickens? Cleo's sister Chungus disappeared while we were having these talks. And eventually there was just the lone chicken, terrified and lonely in her chicken wire enclosure. And that's when I was able to bring my, I took a cat carrier to her house and I put Cleo in the cat carrier and took her home. Hi, Zenobia. You want to come up? I have all the chickens. So the first thing I had to do, and I had to do it really fast, is I had to build an enclosure to go inside my chicken run to keep Cleo separate from the other chickens, because I knew that even though they're very sweet to me, my girls would absolutely wreck a new chicken if I didn't keep her separated. But I also wanted to make introductions. It took me about an hour and a half because I was working as quickly as I could, because I didn't have anywhere outside the cat carrier to put Cleo in the meantime. She was stuck in the cat carrier while I worked. And eventually I had a good sized enclosure. It was about 4 feet by 4 feet by 20 inches for Cleo to hang out in. And she spent the first 4 or 5 days in that little box that I had made. And the chickens could actually reach their little heads in through the hardware cloth, but there was plenty of room for Cleo to escape their attention if she wanted to. So they could kind of investigate each other even, but nobody was stuck. Nobody could get pinned down and bullied. And in that enclosure, Cleo had her own food and water. The containers for that are actually still over there because somebody is lazy. After that, we started doing some supervised visits. Like I'd let her out of the box for a few minutes and the chickens would beat her up and then she'd go back in the box. And I didn't love that. And we had supervised visits for about another 3 or 4 days. So we had longer and longer supervised visits until we got to a point where I was comfortable on the 3rd or 4th day that Cleo could just be out here with the chickens in the run and not in the box at all for the entire day. And we checked in periodically to make sure she was okay and she wasn't bleeding. So that day actually went really well and Cleo was not injured and she was able to access the food and water, and she even tried to go in the coop, which ended badly because the coop is where they lay the eggs and it's their sacred territory. So she got beat up and ejected from the coop, but anywhere in the run she was fine. So on the 10th day, I decided I was sick of worrying about Cleo out here in the run and not in the coop at night. I mean, the run is pretty safe. I've never had any animals make it into the run, but with a chicken out in the open in the run at night, I thought the temptation might be too strong and the raccoons would probably go for it. So I really wanted to get her into the coop. And on the 10th night, I pushed her in through the coop door and closed it behind her. And she found the roost, and I watched long enough to verify that nobody was beating her up. And she actually slept in the coop. On day 11, she came out when the door opened with everybody else. And she spent the day as a full member of the flock for her first time. And at night, on day 11, she put herself to bed with the other chickens because Welsummers are a pretty intelligent breed of chickens. And I considered the integration complete because she's drinking out of the same water as everybody else. She's eating the same food as everybody else, and she's sharing all the same spaces as everybody else. And if that's not integration, I don't know what is. There are still a few upsets. They're still working on ironing out the pecking order. But at this point, everyone is pretty much integrated from my perspective. So that's the story of taking in Cleo, the rescue chicken. I think she might have a little PTSD because, I mean, she spent the last, oh, thanks, Eleanor. She spent the last week or 2 of her life before she came here constantly being stalked by predators, and that's not great. Before I made this video, I wanted to do some research on how to merge flocks. We've got to fix that camera. You look all crooked from here. So before I made this video, I decided to do some research, and I found a website called the British Hen Welfare Trust, and they looked reputable, so that's what I went with. And this is how they say you should merge flocks. Everyone is going to tell you that before you add any new chickens to your existing flock, you should quarantine them for 30 days. And I did not quarantine Cleo because I was not equipped. She was an emergency rescue chicken. The look but don't touch phase, being visually and auditorily accessible to the established hens, but not actually mixing with them, should last at least 7 to 10 days. I only did between 4 and 5 days. According to them, you should introduce more new hens than there are established hens to help dilute pecking order aggression against the new hens. So I'm not a great mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that 1 is less than 6, so I screwed that up. They also recommend establishing a neutral territory to weaken the established pecking order. So instead of introducing new hens into an old run, they recommend that you make an all-new run for the chickens to meet in. And ideally, you should put the new hens in the new run and let them get established, and then introduce your established hens into the new space. So all of this is designed to kind of weaken the established pecking order and encourage them to mix more peacefully than they might otherwise. They recommend after that 7 to 10 days of look but don't touch. Supervised visits should start taking place at dusk. When I started my supervised visits, it was usually before or after work during the day, because I wasn't thinking about what was best for my chickens' schedule. I was thinking about what was best for my schedule. Very, very selfish. So the reason we're doing the supervised visits starting at dusk is that time is when the girls are going to be thinking about roosting more than they're thinking about their pecking order. So their instinctive drives are a little bit reorganized at that time, and you can take advantage of that to kind of disrupt their social order. So that's everything I did wrong, which was basically everything. I did everything wrong. Do you want this now? I'm done with it. I'll set it down. You guys can play with it. There you go. Marianne's got it. Now currently Cleo isn't in the best shape in terms of the pecking order. She is below everybody because she's new. And life is not good for her, but I am watching, and she's not getting bullied any more than the old lowest girl on the pecking order was, and that was Willa. Poor little Willa. She's ecstatic. She is so happy to not be at the bottom of the pecking order anymore. So let me know down in the comments just how awful I am for getting everything wrong, or any advice you think I missed that you think people watching this video should have, or any personal stories you have about flock integration that you just want to share. Because we're all a bunch of weirdos who keep chickens or are thinking about keeping chickens here, and I think that could be a lot of fun for everyone. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you are interested in gardening. I don't make enough chicken content for you to be happy if you're only into chickens. That's the whole video. Thank you so much for joining me here in my chicken run. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden.